In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the application SlideIdea, which is available for the iPad. It's not an application that's available on Android yet, and it's not an application that's available on the iPhone. So it's an iPad-only application called SlideIdea. So you can see I've gone to the App Store on the iPad here, and I've typed in SlideIdea. I've downloaded it. It's a free application. I'm just going to click on Open, and this is the application. So, as I've said this in my review, this application is fantastic and it'll give you another tool to use other than the likes of PowerPoint to create presentations, but it's got some fantastic features. So the first thing I want to show you is that you haven't got to reinvent the wheel. So if you've already created lots of presentations in Microsoft PowerPoint already, you can import those into this application. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to click on the download button. You can see that I've got a variety of online cloud storage applications that I can access my presentation from. So I have a Dropbox account. I've synced this up to my Dropbox account. I haven't done that manually. Basically, my Dropbox account is already registered on this iPad, so it automatically picks that up. So if I click on Google Drive, for example, I haven't actually set up Google Drive on this iPad, and so it wants me to log in here that way. But as you can see, there's SkyDrive as well, there's Box, Kingsoft Cloud, and SlideIdea itself if you want to set up your own account on SlideIdea. But I've got a Dropbox account, it accesses all my files, and so here you can see I've done a presentation called My Ciphered Message. This is a Year 7 presentation I did on PowerPoint. Click on this button. It doesn't take too long to import. This is a file that's 270 kilobytes in file size. It's probably going to take less than a minute to actually import this. So again, you haven't got to reinvent the wheel. All your presentations that you've already got, you can just import into this application. But it's very important you understand that if you import from PowerPoint, you can't edit the content that you've already created inside that presentation. You can add to it, but I can't edit it, as you can see here. I've now got the presentation, so I'm going to click on the edit button. It says imported PPT PDF content cannot be changed, but you can add widgets and slides. So if I just confirm that, you can see that I can't actually click on any of this text that's already been entered. I can add my own text again on top of this, so I can click on the text button. I can drag in a text element here, and I can actually add my own text inside this like that. So you can add more to it, you just can't edit existing content. So I'm just going to do this. There we go. So I've imported a presentation from PowerPoint. Fantastic. If I go back to home, if I don't want to import an existing presentation, I can actually create a new one by clicking on the plus icon at the top. I just created my own new presentation. They've got fantastic templates for you to choose from. So they have new templates quite regularly. You know, some really nice design templates that you can choose from, different to the basic PowerPoint ones that you tend to be able to get. And again, I still haven't touched on the beauty of this application yet. I'm just going to quickly put something together to show you. I just want to choose a nice template to show this on. Try classic. Okay, let's try this wool one. This looks pretty cool. So I click on the wool. I can download this. Again, these are all coming from SlideIdea themselves. They've created these templates, and you can just download them again for free to your own templates to use within your presentation. So the minute you may be thinking, well, why would I do this? I know PowerPoint. It's easy to use, for example. Why would I use SlideIdea? What I'm about to show you, the fantastic features that you can actually integrate into these presentations that, well, PowerPoint simply cannot do. So, there we go, it's downloaded. I'm just going to click on open. Here's my presentation. If I want to add a new slide, I simply press the plus button. And now this is fully editable because this isn't imported from PowerPoint. This is a fully editable presentation. I can have my own new slides. I can click on the start screen. I can edit my own content here. etc. So again, same as what you're used to with PowerPoint, but now comes the cool stuff. So as you can see, first of all, I've created this presentation. So if I go home, it saves the presentation for me. I can give it a name. I'll just call this one test. Done. Tick. Sorted. And now what I want to do is I actually want to view this presentation so I can view it. Press play. Oh yeah, I forgot. You can also do the transitions, so how I get from one slide to the next. There's some pretty cool ones on this. So I could do a deck, for example, and what that would do is it would load my slides like that, and then I would just click on them and flick them out, which is pretty cool. Anyway, just going to exit that for a minute. So I'm just going to run this presentation. Here we go. Now what's really good about this is, have you ever been sort of giving a PowerPoint presentation to your class, for example, and you've wanted to sort of interrupt this presentation, or the students have wanted to interrupt it, and you think, oh, I could just do with explaining that a little bit more, maybe on an interactive whiteboard or a whiteboard of any sort. And so then you go over to a whiteboard and you talk about it a bit more, then you go back to your presentation, etc. Well, the beauty of this is I can be giving my presentation. I can then pinch out on the screen or pinch in on the screen like that. Click on whiteboard, and I've got a fully interactive whiteboard here that I can use, so I can just, well, pretty much write whatever I want. So I could step into the presentation. Hello everyone. It's got some nice simple little tools to change the colour of my text. This is test. And then what I can do is, if I want to, I can click on this little button at the bottom. You can't see this menu, unfortunately, but I can click on the save button and it says, do I want to save this whiteboard to a local album? So I can actually save this whiteboard within the presentation. I'm just going to cancel that. Unfortunately, it's not showing up on the screencast that I'm doing, but there is a little menu at the bottom where you can do undo. You can go back and you can delete. But it's a really nice little feature. That's pretty cool. So I'm just going to exit it now and show you the awesomeness of this application. It is extremely fantastic. So I'm just going to edit the presentation, and I'm going to add a new slide. I'm just going to add a blank slide here. And this is really where the presentation comes into its own. Okay, so now I've added a new slide to the presentation, and I'm going to click this little button down here, this share button. It's actually not, I say it's a share button, it looks like an icon that you would suggest to share, but it's actually an interaction button. So what I can do now is I can drag things in, for example, like a poll, and I drag this in here. If I then click that poll, double click the poll, and give it a title, so I might want to be talking about, I don't know, is the internet benefit to society? Simple yes or no question. I can add another item if I want, so it could be, it doesn't just have to be yes or no, it could be a multiple choice question or a multiple choice poll. Tick that little box like that. Some other nice features actually whilst I'm here is that, for example, if I add another new slide, these graphs that I can actually add onto my presentation, and if I double click them, I can edit these graphs within the application as well. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's the poll that's really awesome. So let me now go back to home. This is saving. And what I want to do now is this. I'm going to run the presentation. I'm going to pinch out on the screen and I'm going to click interaction. Now what this does by clicking on interaction is it allows me to engage the audience of the presentation. So if I simply just slide this engage button across here, it gives me a unique URL that I can access here. So what I'm going to do is on my phone, here, I'm going to go to this. So you imagine your students now, you haven't got desktop computers, so if they had, they could actually go to this URL on a web browser as well. I'll show you that in just a minute. But I'm going to say, well, let's imagine they've all got mobile phones in the class. So you say, right students, what I want you to do is go to sld.im slash 48783 and press go. Now what this does is this takes the student who hopefully has a mobile device that's connected to the internet to a URL where they'll be able to do multiple things with this presentation themselves. So as you can see here, look, it's taken me to SlideIdea just by typing in the URL. The number that's actually in here matches the number that's here. And then I'm just going to type in my name. So you ask your students to type in their name, so it might be Sam Smith. Asking to sign in, so click sign in. And now what they're able to do is they're able to message each other from within the presentation, or message you, should I say. They can actually complete the poll. They can view your slides. So if I just show this all working. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the presentation. I'm going to click on my iPhone here, I'm going to click on this slide button here. So I've just clicked on the slide button. I haven't actually set this up yet, so let me just go back into my presentation here. Interaction. What I forgot to press on the presentation was this share button down here. So if we click on the share button, I'm going to allow my students, I'm going to activate that they are allowed to share this presentation. So when this is activated, which it now has, yep. If I go back now on here, I click this slide button. You can see now that the student sees exactly the same slide that's on my iPad as a teacher. They can now see this presentation on their mobile phone. And what's good about this is that if, for example, I'm the teacher and I move on to the next slide, oops, the student's iPhone version of this presentation, they can also go on to the next slide. And they can jump ahead of the presentation if they want to. They can see what's on the next slide before I even get there. It's just allowing them to view the whole presentation on their mobile device as well as on your device, I guess. So that is pretty cool, but there's also some awesome stuff. So I just go back as a student. Now what might happen, for example, I'm just going to exit this for a minute and just change the transition on this presentation. So let's go for book. Okay. So I've now got this as a book. Okay, so I'm scrolling through it like a book, just to show that you can do different transitions. So what I might be doing now is I might be giving this presentation like this, and I'm talking about wool. And the student might think, well, hang on, what is a teacher talking about here? I'm a little bit confused, I want to know a bit more. I don't want to interrupt the teacher though. So what he might do is on his mobile version, he might click message. So Sam might click on message here. And he might just have a question that says, need to know more about this. We'll start confused. And what I could do then is submit that. And I can see that message. Now as a teacher, what I can do is I can then pinch out, and every now and then I can dip into the interaction, click on messages, and I can see some of the actual messages that students are posting. So for example, every couple of slides, I might just stop the presentation, dip into the messages and see what students are saying. If I click on audience here, I can see that Sam's the only person at the minute who's actually following the presentation. But if I just show you again, if for example, I was on another mobile device, or for example, I was in a web browser and they went to the same URL, sld.im/48783. Okay, so I'm going to sign in as another student. On this computer, it's Jane. Sign in. Okay, so this student's now signed in, and this is what it looks like in. So any device that they have with a web browser running, they can actually sign into this presentation. So now all I've done is I've gone back to the iPad. I've hit the audience button. That refreshes it, and you can now see that Jane Doe, who's signed in on this web browser, and Sam Smith, who's signed in on this iPhone, are all part of this presentation. They're all viewing it. They're all the audience of this presentation. If I go back to messages again, in here, Sam Smith has obviously set this. If I then go back to the web browser, and let's say Jane also wants to pay something, so I don't get this. Submit it. And you can see that's come through on here as well for the teacher's iPad application that Jane doesn't get it. If I then go back on the mobile phone version of this, just click the back button. So this is Sam, and if he goes to messages again, and he just clicks on all messages here, not only can he see his own, but he can see that Jane doesn't get this as well. So again, we've got the full interaction of students engaging within the presentation. And then the really cool thing that I want to show you now is, I go back into the presentation and I'm on this poll page. Well, I don't even have to be on the poll page. As long as there's a poll within the presentation, any student that's viewing the presentation, if I just go back here, just going to shrink the browser a little bit so I can fit it on. Okay, so if I hit the poll button, and on the iPhone I hit the poll button, you can see there's the poll, is the internet a benefit to society? Now if I just show you this, if I just pinch out on the iPad, click on interaction, click on the poll. Okay, so this is live. This is the overview of the results on my iPad. This is Sam, this is Jane. If Jane says yes and hits submit, you can see automatically it's come up on my iPad that one person has said yes. Now if I go on the iPhone and let's say for example Sam says no, hit submit, straight away it's come through on the iPad, and I've got an automatic poll here of students' results to the poll. And then to finish this off, to do the tip on the iceberg, I guess you could say, is that if I go back to the application, exit this. I mean, if you aren't blown away by this application already, then, you know, I don't know what to say, but there's this awesome other feature, which basically allows me to do this. If I slide out here, and click on SlideCast, what this is, it's a portal where other teachers have created presentations on SlideIdea, and they've recorded their voiceovers on the presentations. So you could download this presentation, for example, on invertebrate respiratory systems here, this one, and you can listen to this teacher present this presentation. So he's just literally gone through every slide, recorded his audio, talking over the presentation, etc. I won't show you that, go and have a look in your own time. But as you can see from the top, there's also my SlideCasts. What this allows you to do is, this allows you to do exactly the same. This allows you to choose a presentation. I clicked on the record button. I'll choose this health and safety one that I did earlier. So this allows you to then click on the record button, record presentation. I would like to access your microphone, okay. And now I am literally recording me going through the presentation. So students, this is a presentation on health and safety, GCSE ICT. Starter is this, yada yada yada. I can pause. I'm going to skip forward a few slides, hit record again. So this is the health and safety risks associated with other jobs. I want to think about them in terms of ICT. Press stop. Then what I can do is I can play it back to myself and listen to what I've just recorded. Okay. And now I am literally recording me going through the presentation. So students, this is a presentation on health and safety, GCSE ICT, etc. Now just think of what you could do, the potential of that. You could record your presentations on your iPad, do the voiceovers like you would standing at the front. You can then share them with your students prior to the lesson. Again, it's flipping the classroom, let them see the presentation before they come to the lesson. It's just got so much potential, this application, and please go and explore, go and have a play. Just give up a bit of your time to, you know, spend exploring the application. You know, maybe take a risk in one lesson where you say, right, this lesson I'm going to get all my students to bring in a device that can access a web browser. I'm going to trial it out, see how it goes. If nothing happens, you know, you've lost a lesson. But potentially, you could really engage your students here and get them very enthused about these normal presentations that you would just stand up and didactically present to them. So yeah, give it a go. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Let me know if you find any other features that I've missed out, and let me know if you use it and whether you see there's any benefits to your teaching and learning. Thank you.